Namaste, Anupama ji. It's great to have you here today for this beautiful discussion on root chakra and reclaiming our Shakti goddess power.
Namaste, Rashmi. It is beautiful to be with you here for such an important discussion.
Truly. So, could you tell us a little about yourself? This is kind of introduction and first query going to you. Brief introduction of your work and your projects you have done so far, and how this journey led you to starting with SOW.
So I have been, I've been blessed by the universe. I was brought up in a family where both sides of my parents and grandparents were heavily into um, Vedic kind of, I'm a practicing Hindu. So Vedic Hinduism, which was all about Arya Samaji way, where it is havans, yoga, meditation, Bhagavad Gita parts. My father was one of the founding members in ISKCON Delhi. So, he was, sorry, not the founding, a lifetime member. Let me correct that. So, he was a lifetime member of ISKCON Delhi. So, we used to have amazing ISKCON saints coming to our house, and we used to be doing a lot of Gita chanting with them. So, that's how I grew up. It became a very natural part of my life. That Bhagavad Gita became my best friend and my go to companion. And, like what we were discussing, every time I found myself in some sort of a trouble, and life is filled with troubles, we all have to go through ups and downs. The Gita would find me. And somehow, or from somewhere, some quotation, the book itself would resurface from somewhere. And it was just unbelievable. So something kept telling me, making me believe in science. From there, as I started, I was also used to do palmistry, but palmistry is very fixed. It tells you what will happen, what will not happen. It does not give you the gray area in the middle, and life is a lot more gray area. So that is when about 3 years, 4 years, as you say, science, I kind of stumbled upon on YouTube on a tarot video. So getting into tarot and understanding how tarot is a little different, it's more healing. And then I started connecting tarot with chakra healing. And it was very interesting. From there, the journey, from, Bhagavad Gita to tarot to chakra healing, it was very a different way of moving towards it.
Yeah.
But what I realized was that when I started talking about chakra healing on the channel, and a lot of people started messaging, and the whole question came out to be, interesting hai, karna hai, lekin, time nahi hai. I don't have the flexibility in my body to do yoga. So that is where I got into more research ki how we cannot just limit this healing to only meditation. Yes, meditation is very important. If we can do it, awesome. But अगर आप एक बंदे को बोलो चलो भाई कल से उठो और 5 किलोमीटर भाग लो, won't happen. Your body is not ready for it. So you have to take a step-by-step approach. Also, I have worked with, in my professional life, I'm a social media manager and I handle digital marketing. So I have worked with a lot of different departments where I've had the opportunity of meeting women from across all social strata of our country. And I've been meeting women who are turning entrepreneurs right from the rural areas. गांव के घर से entrepreneurs से लेकर, from us who are living in metro cities. And I'm seeing so many women turn entrepreneurs, especially in the COVID era. Everyone was trying to do something, keeping themselves busy. So that is where I realized that, we have to understand that as women, we have to not just empower ourselves, but also understand how to empower others. That is where the whole root chakra kind of comes in.
Interesting. Nice. And so going forward with our next question, what events and factors led you to majorly focus on only root chakra healing?
Okay, so I focus on all chakras, but the base, the foundation of a building is very important. बिना roots के कोई पेड़ ऊपर उठ नहीं पाएगा, खड़ा नहीं हो पाएगा. It won't be able to take the storm of the wind. So, in fact, as we go across, I'll share how many chakras we have. There are loads. And root chakra is a very basic. And when it comes to women, the divine feminine, जो हमारे अंदर शक्ति है, the power, if you see the healed and the unhealed version, actually a lot goes on within the root chakra. हम लोग कहते हैं throat chakra होगा तो I can communicate better,
Yeah.
I can communicate well. But how will I communicate if I don't have the confidence, if I don't feel the worthiness in me to communicate? So that is all root chakra. So it is idealistic. You can't tell a child, okay, start your schooling from 6th standard. We put a child through pre-nursery, nursery. In fact, बच्चा पैदा होते ही हम शुरू हो जाते हैं, लाल रंग देखो, ये येलो कलर देखो. We start teaching the child in different ways. मुंह खोलो, खाना खा लो. So you skip all of that, imagine, and put a child straight into a 6th or a 7th standard. That child will be lost. And anybody can feel very demotivated, especially in today's day. We are so used to instant noodles, 2 minutes mein ban jayega khana, instant this, instant that, instant recognition. In this generation, in this Kalyug, if we start from a very difficult thing, we are actually setting up somebody for failure. So root chakra becomes the most important. If you've not healed the very base of your structure, then to get the structure up and running, it's going to get tough.
And like in my own experience, like just previously it used to be like just something happens and I used to get agitated a lot, which after working on it has reduced. But still I feel about root chakra, women feeling safe on earth is like a big topic. And although feeling safe on earth is a macro thing, but feeling safe in your body, because we are like so much, some might not be so sensitive, but a lot of us are, and that collective accumulation of certain things are happening. And yeah, what's your take on that,
Totally,
on
totally.
shifting the
Because
negative to positive? Like I can feel nowadays, I'm in a cool space, but then if I go in a gathering or I meet some people, then I feel that heat sensation. So what do you interpret that
no, I
as?
totally relate to it, and I think a lot of the viewers will also relate to this, because the more as the divine feminine, comes out, we are empathetic. What is a divine feminine? She's empathetic. She's nurturing. She's emotional. She's that soft side, and she's the creative side. So we all have a divine masculine and divine feminine within us, the Shiv Shakti. We all
Mm,
have that within us. And of course, then, as a partner, some of us have a partner as well. So that becomes an extension, a 3D form of the divine masculine. But within us, as a divine feminine is more heightened in a gender of women. Okay. And if you identify with women as a gender. So for us, it becomes, it's usually that there is somebody who will be providing you safety. How can you be creative? You'll be creative and you'll be nurturing when you know your walls are secure. If you're going to constantly worry about putting the food on the table, if you're constantly worried about how to keep things safe, creativity will take a little bit of backstep. That is why even in ancient times, जब कोई राजा बहुत अच्छे से रूल करता था, उसके नीचे हमेशा you will find a lot of creativity. The
mm,
artists could produce that creative thing because the king had secured the borders. There was no wars happening. There was no fear, no survival mode on. So survival mode has to go off. For the survival mode to go off, we activate our divine feminines. When we activate that, our vibrations become so strong that ultimately it's all auras around us, right? The
yeah.
minute we enter a room, like you said, a party or a place where there's a gathering, or even an elevator for that matter, where there are 7, 8 people, you will start feeling the vibrations and you will start feeling that impact on
And
you.
if, yeah,
So
if we have healed too much, it gets even more like, okay.
it does. It does. You have to. It's like a constant process. It's like you're taking that boulder up the hill. Her rose, you'll have to heal yourself. You'll have to
Yeah.
keep your energy in check because it's so easy. You're
Yeah,
now
keeping
fluid
that inner dialogue like on all, like the good one, the good dialogues
all
happening
the
inside.
time.
Yeah.
So the morning routines become very important. The night routines before sleeping become very important. Affirmations. I mean, there are so many ways that we can do it. Whatever way it works, whatever way is the easiest way for each person. But totally, the vibrations are unbelievably they impact you.
Yeah.
Music starts impacting you. Colors start impacting you. You don't realize it. In subconscious mind, certain colors start triggering you into anger mode. You don't realize. So, all of that you have to figure slowly, that what is impacting me. So how do I now switch it off? How can I manage? अब हम किसी और के घर जाके उसके घर की दीवारों के कलर तो बदल नहीं सकते. So how will I have to manage that part in me? So for that, identifying it is very important.
Yeah, true. And yes, so yeah, there was certain point that came to me, but then yeah, that I'll put it a little later out there. So third question: what were your observations of uh, what were your observations around women when you met them during rural development projects that you have taken up before? In what ways root chakra of women in rural areas and urban areas are healed and affected, both the factors? Let us
So
know a little more.
sure. So urban areas, we've seen the empowerment around us. In rural areas also there is empowerment. The women there deal with a little more complexity than us. How? थोड़ा सा, I'm not saying पैसे का बहुत limitation है. There are rich and poor in the rural areas also. There are rich and poor in the urban areas also. No difference in terms of income scale. You have people who have big, huge farmlands and bungalows and khandani rais hai. There are people who are struggling. So that's there in rural and urban.
Okay.
लेकिन रूरल एरियाज में क्या है, अभी भी काफी हद तक इट इज ऑल अबाउट फैमिली एंड जॉइंट फैमिली, एंड हाफ ऑफ द गांव ऑलरेडी नोज यू. In urban areas, I was brought up in Noida, and in that sector everybody knew everybody. हमारे घर में आज सांबर बन रहा है, my padosi would know before I would know, sitting in the same house. So neighbor concept was very huge. We are now moving into apartment zone where you don't even know the third neighbor, the third person on your floor. So rural women have to deal a lot with everybody knowing everybody and everything. So
With everybody,
within this framework,
could you be
in
a
the
little
in the
louder?
village setup, yeah, in the village setup, for example, your village mostly constitutes of the people you know very well. It constitutes of relatives, it constitutes of your own joint family. A lot of time these people are in a joint family situation. It's very, very common in rural areas, lesser so in urban areas. So now not only are you and I'm seeing them working, I'm seeing them setting up businesses, and best part, I was seeing that their in-laws and their husbands were supporting them in doing that. So, the women are also becoming independent. But, Rashmi, the problem here comes that a woman now is also taking up a man's profile. She's not just managing her house, her kids, and in rural areas, her in-laws, her relatives who are close by. She's also managing a enterprise, handling more women there. So it becomes a little more complicated for the rural woman. Plus,
It's just
yes, the
work.
roads are there. It is, and she's mostly
Physical.
on a cycle. There is. So we still have, okay. We have proper roads, or we can take a train somewhere. We have a metro. In rural areas, you're still mostly on cycles or on scooties. The roads are there, but not many are driving around, and so that makes it a little more also. And for her to travel to urban cities to sell her merchandise, she always needs to get either a group going with her or her husband going with her. So that is where certain things are different for the rural women, a little more even tougher for them. They might not be so educated. तो वो उस सब के बीच में वो अपना रास्ता ढूंढ रही हैं. And kuch had the root chakra also comes here. Balancing root chakra helps us here as well, where we are able to delegate our tasks to other people, other family members, without feeling guilty about it. Because it helps you strengthen who you are and your self-worth. Just because we ask somebody to switch off the gas in the kitchen doesn't mean I'm not good enough. Just because I am training or asking my child that they need to make their own bed, it doesn't mean I'm not good enough. So,
Right.
women are slowly realizing that it is important for them to delegate duties as well. They cannot just take everything on themselves. Being a super girl, a superwoman was a concept which is great. It happened in the empowering stage, but now it is time for women to settle down. Accept that, being a superwoman is great, but, am I supposed to be one? I'm supposed to be a woman.
Right. I'll have
So
to
let
pause.
everybody in the house do their own job.
Yeah, just for a minute. There's a little sounder thing. Yeah, yeah. Could you bring that statement a bit again, because this missed a bit of that. Yeah.
No worries. So
Yeah.
basically
So
what
that
is happening is,
one thing you said is about delegating work. Yes, totally agree. That has to happen. Other than that, you were saying how the rural women are on the better side in that case. Was that what you said?
no, I'm just saying that we are living in two different environments, and every
Mm-hmm.
woman in her environment is trying to make the best of it. So women in rural areas are still more, there's a more proportion of women in rural areas in joint families. So they have to manage a joint family system as well. They have to manage their in-laws, relatives living very close to them. That also means a lot of relatives meeting up. So they have to manage all of that. And I'm seeing a lot more entrepreneurs being developed in the rural areas and women taking that up as well.
Wow.
There are roads, but then in the roads, there is more of cycles and scooties. So if you have to transport a lot of stuff, suppose
Right.
you're into tailoring, you have a lot
Mm-hmm.
of goods. Now you get dependent on somebody in your family to do it. Also, in regards to education, these women are, mostly 7th to 10th to 12th qualified. Some are graduates as well. But urban women here do have an advantage. Urban women have their own set of challenges. There is
Mm.
competition. There's a lot more that they're dealing with when it comes to taxations and no subsidies and all of that. So everyone has their own set of challenges. But a standard challenge that all women, as we were discussing, is that we are trying to take on a lot on our plate.
Right. Yeah. Something
And I've
which
noticed
is not truly our style of doing things. You can still be like calm and soft and still lead a whole patch, a big,
so the
like
whole
wolf
term
pack,
boss lady, the boss lady term has become so negative in its
aggressive.
connotation.
Yeah.
Aggressive, wearing business suits, black business suits. She's being very, very, out there, outspoken. So that is the kind of imagery that is kind of getting portrayed, and it's time to change that narrative a little bit. Yes, during the empowerment stage, when you have to expand, you do this. But I think women have expanded, in fact, over expanded. We are now telling our husbands or our respective partners that it's cool if you work or you don't work. I can manage my own finances. So now that one responsibility that that person had is also gone. So I'll manage the house, I'll manage the kids, I'll manage the in-laws, I'll manage the money, I'll manage the bills, I'll manage the maids, I'll manage everything. And then
Somehow,
when do you manage you? When do you get time for
yeah,
you? Where is me in this whole story? So
truly.
that is where root chakra comes in, that
And
you need to feel,
yeah, like when you
you
said
don't
the
have to
suit, wearing
snatch
the
the
suit
worthiness.
thing, the tight stuff and all that, very recently it's happening with me. Like, I'm wearing dresses. Like, I'm not feeling like
Same
wearing
here.
jeans.
Ditto same here.
you know like
Ditto same here.
tight pants or jeans, I'm like, okay, forget it, dresses are for me now, that's the way to go. I'm not even like go. It gets difficult, and such block, like there is some kind of an energetic block where I feel like I can't wear like tight jeans or stuff like that anymore. Did you feel something like that when you started working with me?
Totally of very late. I'll tell you how recent this is. This is March and April. I shifted to my new place, and there is this lady in my own tower. She does dresses, and in the WhatsApp group, she posted a dress, and I was like, oh my god, I have to try this. Now there is also the whole story of you recovering from your body issues. I have gained weight. I don't have much time to go and walk and go to the gym. After a certain stage of life, your metabolism gets slower. You have to accept so much. You have to accept so many changes in your own self. And somewhere I was, trying to deal with that issue. That yes, I am not as thin as I was, and I have to accept it. I cannot just keep body shaming myself in my own head, in my subconscious. So I bought that dress. It's a big, fluffy, flary dress. So obviously you'll end up looking even more, as if you're totally round. And
Beautiful.
I didn't care. And I felt beautiful after I wore it. I thanked her so much. I went on a buying spree of dresses, and I got like 5, 6 of them. I have to go pick up my daughter from school in the afternoon. And I completely changed, exactly like you. I stopped wearing the jeggings. I was like, throw these tight clothes out. I'm wearing my. The best part about wearing the dress was it made me feel so feminine and flowy and fluid. And I just felt confident about it. That was the beautiful part. It was, for years I had associated wearing jeans and pants to a point of confidence somewhere, and I didn't realize it till I started healing my own root chakra. I realized, okay,
Resonated. Yeah,
your
absolutely.
self-worth does not depend on the clothes you're wearing. Your self-worth does not depend on what others are complimenting. It is you. It all starts from within you. But we all have a process. A lot of times we go through this external process and then internalize it. And
Right.
as a kid, I started from internal and then went external. And now I'm going back internal. So sometimes I feel like I'm going back to that Anupama that was, 8-year-old or 10-year-old. I was so much more mature then.
Yeah, and that felt like good. Like, why did we even downsize on our grandiosity? You know,
Totally,
it's just
totally.
that.
We let the external factors play. This whole Nari Shakti Sashakt Hona, empowering the woman, these are beautiful ideas. But the empowerment needs to come from us as well. It cannot be just people trying to empower us, it has to be us empowering us. So, how do you do it? And for
Hmm.
everything, everything started pointing out in the direction of chakra healing.
Right. And yeah, the point that I was going to tell you back a few minutes back. So that point was about feeling, pride and grandiosity somewhere in the name of, shutting down your ego, putting down your sense of identity. I think there is one whole pack and setup around, ego is the enemy and all, but it didn't sit right with me. I was like, maybe that is where I feel protective. So what do you want to say on that? Like being in a grandiose feeling. I don't say it should be through clothes or through looks or anything, but
Get it?
having that sense of grandiosity through inner world for women, for Shaktis. So how do you put it?
The ego depends on, these are those thin lines, these are the gray areas. You take them in the wrong sense, you take them as control, and I want to control everything, it has to be my way or the highway. Then that ego becomes a little negative. You take it in a positive way where you want to contribute, you might want to assist, and you're coming in a zone of confidence.
Leadership and yeah.
That becomes, and for leadership you have to at times put your foot down. Then only can you lead. You can't just lead a team every single time, just taking everybody's opinions and trying to make everybody happy. That's people pleasing. That's again root chakra, sorts it out.
You spoke my heart.
So
Tell a little about people pleasing that is really causing some imbalance in the female collective.
it is very common. It is very common. And when I see women overtaking roles on their plate, वो थाली को भर लेना अपने काम से, that is happening because a little bit about people pleasing and control issues, because we feel that we will not be justified. I still have to fight more. Somewhere, someday, we'll have to learn to keep that sword aside, that we've created space on the plate for ourselves.
Hmm.
Now it is also time for others to understand that this is your space, and we don't take up other people's spaces. We should not be overstepping on other people's shoes as well. Very recently, I was working with a female boss, and it was literally the my way highway with her. So I had to constantly, kind of request her that you have to understand that the other person is also bringing a certain experience, expertise to the table. And we'll have to, that is very gray area of ego and respect, and, somewhere letting the control go out of your hands. But it's also survival mode. You see, women have gone through the most survival mode issues. So it takes time.
Right. So
Every time a war happened, every time an invasion happened,
yeah, that
the men were out there fighting, the women were getting raped, getting brutally tortured afterwards, to leading to the point of sati practice starting, so
great you
women
brought
have
this up.
seen a lot.
Yeah, the collective
And
generational trauma is a topic
it's
which
huge.
people have to address,
I'm not saying the male gender has not gone through a lot. I'm not here to do a gender, like some sort of
I
an
think it's at
animosity.
every
Chakra
level.
healing is for everybody. But
Yes.
discussing about women have gone through a lot.
Yes.
Whereas, we
Like,
go through a cycle. We
yeah,
go through cycles. One cycle where we are respected as the most pious and beautiful and to be appreciated. And then we go through a whole cycle of downfall. Then we start off again with the swords in our hand, trying to make our space, trying to get people to know. And, I don't know if this is the right space to discuss this, but I see so
please do.
many videos from US where, men claiming that they are women and they are entering the sports field. So now women have a new sword that they
It's
need to take
getting
out.
difficult. Like just yesterday, I was going through a video about Women's Declaration Federation. There's a channel, and Vaishnavi Sundar from Chennai is making a documentary on that, like how women. She's come across certain situations where women in females in Chennai are facing the issues where men are like, now I want to do my sex operation or sex change, and that's why I'm turning as a transgender, and the whole family thing is like, see, again, it is coming on women. So women then have to step up that, okay, I'll do this. It is an induced trauma. We can see
In
this
Delhi
at this point
NCR,
of time.
in Delhi NCR, there's midlife crisis on a big time role. 40 to 45 to 50-year-old men are just leaving everything to the woman of the house and going off on trips and going off on these discoveries, self-discovery sort of camps. They're gone for 3 months, 6 months. It's just unreal. And somewhere it has been because, we've allowed them to feel that, we can do everything, on ourselves. So
Totally
it is
agree. I think
important that
we,
we
as Shakti, have somewhere given away that power of always admiring the other species, the male collective, I would say. And things have just, now it's like, even if we don't want to, now you have to do that childlike thing, controlling the child, like
totally.
that
In fact,
that kind of
yesterday
a thing.
the
And then it's again the same thing, right? Then the woman is not blossoming in her sensuality and her greater other sides of softness. So
her boss lady part becomes too active. So the imbalance
yeah.
starts off from there. Yesterday, in fact, the message on the tarot idol was compassion. There's such a beautiful definition written there on compassion that I found, and I wrote it exact verbatim because sometimes you should not change certain messages.
Mhm.
It was all about compassion is not about you trying to heal the other person. Compassion is you understanding what situation that person is, giving them the guidance, and then letting them do their journey of healing.
Yeah.
Don't
True.
try and control somebody else's journey. So that's what, we feel it's not about a negative thing. It's because of our survival mode. We've seen so much, we've been through so much that we feel, what, I can make it easier for you. I have spent generations trying to heal from this. Let me make it simpler for you. But what we do in that process is make things difficult for us. We take over the other person's unhealed energy onto us.
Oh,
We take
big time.
over their plate of work onto us. We
Yeah.
take over their issues in our own life. And that person is free now. That person is happy and free, and we are overburdened. Not just burdened, overburdened.
And I'll have to add another link, so we could extend this talk for just 10 to 15 minutes more.
Yeah,
And
I want to quickly take
yeah,
through the root chakra, how people can, heal their root
yeah,
chakras.
absolutely. So yeah, just a bit to wrap up here for this particular part was like, even men have to take that emotional responsibility. That is where I
They
feel there's
do.
this big gap. Literally, it's like
Totally.
this and this.
Totally. So
So
that is where that Shiv
it's
Shakti,
that,
the divine masculine and the divine feminine within us, the
yeah,
men also have to balance it out, the women have to balance it out. The men will have to become more empathetic.
And somewhere then it brings a sense of that distance between this. When I was trying to understand the Shiva Shakti dynamic, then that's when I felt, and when I very recently it kind of struck my heart, like, when I saw Jwala Devi Mandir and Tanot Mata stories, how Shakti protected so many people. Like, she made sure that dharma is upheld. And then when I look at the way Shiva's things are, okay, if Shiva is such a role model, then why are men not like that, holding, being that provider and protector? So I think a
I
lot
think they're
needs to
trying.
change
I think
from the
they're
zero
trying.
point, from the very
I
beginning
feel,
of everything.
yeah, that's where I feel root chakra healing is so important. And especially women can instill this in their own house without even, if you feel your man of the house is not interested, there are ways you can do it without him even realizing it. And the children of the house, very important. Especially the ones born after COVID, because they carry a new type of generational trauma with them. So this
Okay.
becomes super important.
Like,
And when you start balancing the energies out,
mhm.
life becomes more understanding. Everybody becomes more empathetic. The female towards the male towards the female. And I think men are also confused, just like women. Women are here trying to fight their battle. The men are trying to understand where are women fitting in the whole role. They grew up with a woman who was a housewife. Then they start dating a woman who is all talking about all independence and financial independence, emotional independence. I don't need anybody in my house. Then they get married to someone who's kind of a mix of the two. So they're still trying to wrap their heads around wo kya raha hai. That's what I feel. I feel they're very confused of handling three different types of women in their life, in one life.
Hmm. Right, and somewhere women in India at least have maintained that, their spiritual sexual prowess. The sexual energy is the spiritual energy, and somehow I see that, women are on the better side, and men have to catch up. Most of them,
Honestly, again, not getting into gender issues,
at
but that's
least in
always been the
30s,
case.
and yeah, I think my generation, like 30s, 20s, yeah, this is where I see
Not
the
just
gap.
that, when a child is born, I have a girl child. When a girl child is born and a boy child is born, the girl child always does things faster. They will start walking faster, they will start talking faster, they will get independent faster. So it has always been this way, that women, the female gender has always been quicker to adapt,
Yeah,
quicker
naturally
to move forward.
advanced. Right.
And it is completely believed, in so many ways it is believed, that when the feminine changes her chakra balancing, it automatically impacts the masculine.
Hmm.
So if you start working on you in the 5D, you are automatically impacting your masculine, and the masculine will start following the path.
Hmm.
So a lot of
Men
women who used
must
to meet me and
listen to
say, "Mere
this.
husband sunte nahi hai."
But men also have to acknowledge this, that yes, we are
I've
having
seen them
access to
change.
spiritual realms, and that's why they need to really listen to us instead of shunning us away. You know, कुछ भी
But
बोल
I've seen this
ego
happen.
वाला topic जो निकल के आता है ना. So, no, they are like, they are telling you what to do. They are the
No, but I have.
creators.
Honestly, I've seen them change. I've tried this practically, and I've seen the change happen. But I thought, यार, ये इंसान कोसों दूर है ऐसे शब्दों से. This person will never get these words. And I started practicing the chakra healing. And I see after 6 months, this person randomly on his Instagram started getting those messages.
Mm-hmm. So we'll
And
be
this is a good
continuing
friend.
this conversation
Yeah.
in next one.